Okay, I got it fixed. So what we have to do is first we have to set the band, the little white cap here. We have to set it from add to over, and you put your alpha into the alpha. From the ramp alpha here, ramp 2 alpha, into the first inputs alpha. And if I can rearrange this here so they lay out a little better, Maya does not do the best default node layout, so this ramp and its place 2D texture correspond to this right here, and ramp 1 corresponds to down here ramp 1. So ramp 1, ramp 1, ramp 2, ramp 2. And now we've got the beach ball on top of or we've got the little cap on top of the beach ball. And it looks pretty good. Looks like a little beach ball. Let's give it a little bit of a rotation so it's not sitting right on top, sitting straight up. So now it's try and put it in a position that looks kind of appealing. And maybe I'll decrease the size of these caps a little bit. And that's the nice thing about working with texture like this, is that these kind of procedural textures, you can just work with them right here in Maya. You can make all these small tweaks without having to jump back between Photoshop or any other texturing program. You just get to work right here, get your work done, and move on. So that looks pretty good for the beach ball. I'm going to go ahead and close the Arnold preview renderer. It crashed my machine while I was streaming last time, so I'm going to just turn that off, and let's get on to doing the materials for the rest of it. So let's grab this AI standard. We're going to graph its up and downstream connections. Call this the floor. And let's see here. Let's just give this a darker color. Let's see. Let's go with a dark bluish gray. Switch this to HSV so it's easier to work with. So I like using HSV because I can pick my pure color, and then I can decide, for once I've got my color, how much saturation I want, how much value I want. So it's real easy to dial in. Like, say I want a dark gray, I can go in and get it. It's a very, very easy color space to work with, in my opinion. I'm going to increase the roughness. So you see how shiny this is? I'm going to use the Arnold ball. All right, so I just changed that from hardware, which is basically what you see in your viewport, to the Arnold renderer. So this is what it's going to look like when we render it out. So you see how it's reflecting everything really sharply and really cleanly? I don't want that for this. So what I'm going to do is I want like sort of a duller reflection with a little bit more blur to it. So I'm going to increase the roughness greatly. And you see how it's still reflecting. You can still see some of the light source reflections in there, but it's much softer. It's not as clear. So I like that. We're going to go with that for now. We can always change these later if we go on and we decide that we don't like it. Alright, let's do a wall. So I'm going to select the next one, the next AI standard. Graph its up and downstream connections. Rename it to AI wall. And once again, let's do a gray for these as well, but let's choose a slightly warmer yellow, kind of a beige gray. Move it into a little more orange spectrum. A little more value, okay. Once again, we want to dial up the roughness. Alright. Let's go ahead and put that on our, and I'm selecting the material here, and then I middle mouse drag to apply it. That's how I did the ball and the floor and the wall. You can select the object you want to assign in the viewport, and then right click on the material, and then assign material to viewport selection. That works as well. Alright, we got one more. We got the box. Graph the up and downstream connections. Alright, let's give the box a strong color. So let's go with a red. Go with a pretty bold red. Shift it a little towards purple space. Lower the value, increase saturation. Get kind of maroon. Alright. So yeah, it's kind of a nice maroon red, and once again, we want to really increase the roughness here. And let's have a little bit of fun here. Let's change the color that gets reflected as well. So instead of it being pure white, it's going to change the color a little bit, just to try something a little different. So we'll select the box, then right-click, select, assign material to viewport selection, and close it up. And let's take another little renderer and see how this is looking. Alright, so on second thought, I'm not really liking that red box at all. It's too dark, and it's creating so much contrast that it's stealing the focus of the ball. So let's reopen that hypershade. Turn this off of Arnold back to hardware, because we got the Arnold IPR open here. So let's see, what does it look like as a yellow, and make it a little brighter. So we want to make the values a little closer. Okay, not really liking the yellow. And like, notice when I change the color of the box, how the color of the reflected light changes. So I changed it to green here, and we've got this green on green happening, which creates kind of a weird thing going on there where we lose some depth in the form. So I don't want to do that. I want to do maybe a blue, and let's make it a little darker. And if we increase the roughness, so if I decrease it, you can see that it's bouncing a lot more light because it's shinier. It's a lot shinier, but if I increase the roughness, the light bouncing goes down, but still it's kind of bright. It's kind of a delicate balance. You don't want it to be so dark that it steals the show because of the contrast it creates, but you don't want it to be so bright that it reflects so much light that it kills the value in the form. And that is pretty good for now. We might do some tweaks later, but we're going to move on. Alright, so hopefully you've got some materials assigned to your little scene here, and hopefully you made some different color choices than I did, because it would be boring if all of ours looked the same. If you just copied the beach ball, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but make some color choices. I picked some pretty standard default colors. You guys feel free to pick some more outlandish colors and express yourself a little bit there.